Greetings, Justice Seekers. Welcome to Justice, Not Justice, Season 1, Episode 25. All right, it's 2019, January, and January 7, Lisa Bangert. So we have a new judge now. We haven't been seen in front of her yet. We have a hearing coming up, but it hasn't happened yet. And Lisa Bangert uploads a affidavit in support of motion for overtrial harassment and guardian ad litem fees. She says, I'm the guardian ad litem of record for the children. Overtrial. Since beginning pro se, Mr. Collins has filed more than a dozen motions and letters, many of which are duplicative, frivolous, and have no foundational evidence. Well, they're definitely not frivolous, and I hope that you can agree that the things we were trying to have the court hear were certainly not frivolous. Duplicative sometimes because they were often ignored, and have no foundational evidence, absolutely untrue. Harassment. In filing these excessive motions, Mr. Collins is using the court system for his personal gain, wasting judicial resources and increasing the GAL fees for which he advised me and the respondent that he was never going to pay. Further, his contempt actions are without merit, such as the alleged Christmas and Thanksgiving placement violations, as will be demonstrated to the court. And she knows that this isn't true. She knows that Jamie's in contempt. She knows that Jamie did not let him have visitation, and she's in contempt of court. She's lying. But this is an affidavit. This is sworn under, a notary and official part of the document, or part of the file. And she's going to demonstrate to the court that those charges are without merit. Now, how is she going to do that? Okay. Mr. Collins' motions, okay, I have to read it. I'm sorry, I was going to gloss over this, but so his contempt actions are without merit regarding the placement Christmas and Thanksgiving, with the evidence suggesting Mr. Collins agreed to a different schedule for Thanksgiving, which he absolutely did not, and there's no evidence to that. In fact, there's evidence that he didn't. We have text messages. And that family members at Christmas prevented him from driving with the children due to what they believed was intoxication. First of all, that's hearsay. I mean, that's just hearsay. How is that going to be proven? It was not true. And they are trying to continue to paint Jeremiah as a dangerous drunk who is not safe with his children. I have 1,000 examples of this. I just keep showing this one because it's just easy. Okay, Mr. Collins' motions to include his significant other at his periods of placement are likewise meritless, as will be demonstrated to the court and based on 2 court orders. Again, now it's more than a year, and we've been trying for a very long time. Again, that whole piece was based on Jamie saying that I had abused her children, which was lies, but we can't get that removed because that's forgotten. And now it's the narrative is, oh, you need to, have quality time alone with your kids, which is fine. And that doesn't mean that I have to leave my residence because I have nowhere to go, I'm disabled, etc. We've already covered this. So she's implicating or suggesting, not even suggesting, but saying that there are 2 court orders, okay, and there are. Now again, remember these court orders, this is the kind of implication that these have. This makes him look extremely bad. You get that, right? And if you don't know the other side of it, which you do now, Mr. Collins using the court process to bully is a waste of judicial resources and is not to be tolerated. Fees. She wants them to demand that he pay the fees, and we've already acknowledged that he doesn't intend to pay her fees because she racks up fees doing stupid shit like this, as well as we believe she should be fired because she's doing a really bad job. I make this affidavit in part in support of the motion for overtrial harassment and for payment of GAL fees. I further request that the court grant me immediate judgment against the parties for any attorney's fees awarded and associated with the preparation and filing of this action. How is this necessary? How is this in the best interests of the children? How is this supportive of an amicable resolution to this situation. I would think that a GAL, an objective GAL, would do whatever they could to minimize the conflict between the parties, not stoke it, not create it, not promote it. But that's exactly what Lisa Bangert is doing. All right, to which we responded, I'm sorry to have to burden the court with yet another correspondence, but Lisa Bangert's most recent proposed order unfortunately requires it. I kindly ask the court to deny Bangert's motion, blah, 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 if for no other reason then this is my divorce proceeding, and it would be loathsome to allow her to hijack the very limited time I have and have had in front of a judge for her own purposes, which is true. But that's not even the worst of it. While I hate to even dignify nearly anything that comes out of her literal or figurative mouth, I'm afraid I am unable to allow her to continue to promulgate her lies and bad behavior. Specifically, regarding her accusations of overtrial. I am apologetic for having filed more than a dozen motions and letters, although I can assure the court that none of them have been frivolous or excessive, and all of them have ample foundational evidence, all of which will be demonstrated to the court. Unfortunately, due to the egregiously poor representation by my former attorney, which became shockingly clear to me following all of the attorneys meeting with Judge Sankovitz in chambers on September 13 of 18, I had to let him go and then scramble to attempt to undo the damage that was done by his lack of representation of me. Hence, multiple motions and letters, many of which were in response to Bangert's continued bad behavior, by the way. As to them being duplicative, perhaps, although this is due not only to many of them having been ignored by Judge Sankovitz and or his clerk, because they knew he was leaving in December, we wonder, but also due to the FCC staff's continued dispatching to me of erroneous procedural information and or the same from Judge Sankovitz's clerks. On more than one occasion, for example, I was told by Judge Sankovitz's clerk that I needed to submit a document for consideration to the FCC, which again is the administrative level lower than the judges of the commission, were the family court commissioners. When I did, and then would call the FCC to follow up on it, I was told that it needed to be submitted to the judge. We had to run back and forth about this a lot. And Lisa Allgood, who is the supervisor at the FCC administrative place, is definitely another. Okay. I'm a pro se petitioner here, and I'm just doing my best to undo the harm that was done for months prior to me taking this case over by myself. By the time I had to do this, I had already paid my former attorney $4,000, which I'm still paying off, and didn't have any additional funds to hire another attorney, as I explained to Judge Sankovitz. I regret any burden I may have placed on the court due to my ignorance, but I'm just trying to get a divorce. Regarding contentions of wasting judicial resources, I am desperate to get this divorce over with. As a matter of fact, I originally requested a pre-trial back on June 18 of 2018. Most of my hearings have had to be rescheduled due to Bangert's overburdened calendar, as well as I'm sure you know, my January and February 2019 dates fell off. Okay, so that's a whole other thing. The last thing I want to do is waste not only judicial resources, but also my own. I'm simply trying to get this divorce finished so that I can get on with my life. Nothing I have done insinuates an effort on my part to try to prolong this. Bangert, on the other hand, operates under the same principle as that of my ex-wife. Whatever she accuses me of doing is, in fact, what she herself is doing. Bangert is the one over-trialing. Regarding accusations of harassment, as a pro se petitioner, I don't even know the court system. Therefore, how can I use it for my personal gain? Bangert, on the other hand, does know the court system, and it is, in fact, she who is using it for her personal gain, wasting judicial resources and increasing her own fees. She is, in fact, using the court process to bully. This is a waste of judicial resources and is not to be tolerated. That is her words. Lastly, regarding my unmerited contempt actions regarding Thanksgiving and Christmas placement violations, as I explicitly did not agree to a different schedule, there is no evidence to suggest that I did, as will be demonstrated to the court. My ex-wife has built an entire offense in this divorce based on lies, all of which have either been or can be proven false, that attempt to characterize me as an abusive, drunk black man. Bangert, abhorrently, has been more than content to jump on that bandwagon and do the same. I honestly have no idea why. I was not intoxicated on Christmas. Unfortunately, my ex-wife and Bangert believe that if they say something, then it's true. And in fact, that is definitely playing out in the courts, as we have seen. Lisa Bangert is a petite, soft-spoken, seemingly demure woman who capitalizes on her modest, compassionate image to, unfortunately, abuse her unchecked power. But don't be fooled. As I have demonstrated on multiple occasions, she is self-serving and is herself the one who is a bully. And her most recent motion is no exception. Accordingly, I respectfully ask the court to deny her motion, and if she is unwilling by now to recuse herself from my case, discharge her due to prejudice, bias, and now a very clear conflict of interest. This is really solid. And it has been solid the entire time. Now, what happened with this? Ultimately, because of the flustercluck that happens in the courtroom or later in January, the first time we were in front of the judge, this all got basically completely ignored, but it's still part of the file, okay? So Judge Carroll didn't approve or deny, or it just got lost in what's gonna happen next. I'll see you soon.